You didn't stumble here by accident. The field drew you in, like a magnetic thread weaving through invisible dimensions, until your eyes locked on this exact moment. Your heartbeat already knows it, that strange acceleration, like the pulse of a drum only you can hear. If you're seeing this, it means something irreversible has already begun. The quantum shift didn't wait for your permission. The timeline itself collapsed into now, and you're standing in the center of the implosion. You've felt it building for weeks, maybe years, little glitches in the ordinary. Time didn't quite add up. Hours disappeared into silence. Days stretched like elastic, bending around you in ways you couldn't explain. The old reality, with its rules and routines, started to feel like a hologram that forgot how to project itself. You tried to play along, smile, pretend you didn't notice the cracks in the script, but deep inside, a whisper kept echoing, something is already shifting. And now you're here, watching, listening, feeling the vibration crawl across your skin. It isn't imagination. This is the collapse, the observer loop breaking apart, no longer binding you to repetition. Imagine every old cycle, every déjà vu spiral, every recurring test suddenly dissolving into pure possibility. You are not drifting toward the shift. The shift has crashed into you, detonating the illusion of later. There is no someday. There is no waiting. The quantum field compressed the future into your present, like a star collapsing into singularity. And so your destiny call is sounding, not outside of you, but within the core of your being. The entanglement threads that tied you to past versions of yourself are snapping, one by one. You are being rewritten in real time. The morphic resonance of your higher self is spilling through, demanding coherence. And the question presses against your chest like a weight. Will you answer the call? This is why you found these words right now. Not yesterday, not next week, because only in this precise second, with your frequency aligned to receive, could you hear it clearly. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was only a calibration to make sure you landed in this exact instant. Your quantum shift timeline has collapsed into now, and you are the one holding the spark. And as the shock of that realization settles into your body, you begin to see the design more clearly. The patterns that once felt like bad luck or random chance reveal themselves for what they truly were: echoes, loops, and feedback spirals inside the quantum field. Your life, in so many ways, has been a study in repetition. The faces may have changed, the locations may have shifted, but the storyline kept circling back to the same conclusion. You thought you were walking forward in a straight line, but the truth is you were pacing inside a circle crafted not to trap you, but to teach you. How many times did you notice the uncanny rhythm of life repeating itself? That strange déjà vu that seemed almost too sharp, too precise to be dismissed as imagination. You walk into a room you've never been in before, yet you know the shape of the shadows, the way the light bends, the cadence of someone's laughter before they even open their mouth. Or you hear a conversation and swear you've already lived it. Word for word. It wasn't delusion. It wasn't coincidence. It was your consciousness brushing against the limits of the observer loop, colliding with the echoes from parallel timelines that bled into this one. The loop worked like a mirror maze, each reflection leading you back to where you started. The relationship that felt different in the beginning but ended with the same heartbreak. The job that promised fulfillment but drained you in familiar ways. The sudden moment of clarity that whispered change was coming, only to dissolve into fog again. Each experience wasn't punishment, but calibration, the universe flashing neon signs saying, "You are still entangled." The loop itself was a teaching device, forcing you to confront the distortion until you finally saw it for what it was. And maybe you fought it. Maybe you doubled down with affirmations, vision boards, rituals, strategies, desperate to force your way out. You thought sheer willpower could rewrite the program, but the harder you pushed, the tighter it clenched. Because the loop doesn't yield to force. It dissolves through recognition. The instant you see it clearly, the illusion loses its grip, and that moment is happening now. For the first time, you can name it. Your déjà vu was not memory, but resonance, your consciousness replaying frequencies until you realized they were no longer yours. Consider the emotional weather you carried, the moods that arrived without reason, the sudden anxiety that swallowed whole days, the grief that returned in waves, untied to the present moment, the anger that flared from nowhere, out of proportion to what was in front of you. These were not failures of your spirit. They were echoes of timelines you were entangled with, static clinging to your aura. Each time you felt you were falling backward, you were really feeling the gravity of a loop tugging on your field. It wasn't there to break you. It was there to make you conscious. The distortion of time itself was another signal. Hours stretched unnaturally, as if the clock resisted your presence. Other moments collapsed. Entire days gone in what felt like minutes. This wasn't just poor memory or distraction, it was the fabric of timelines bending and folding, pulling you across seams in reality. Your spirit felt the pressure, like being underwater, but your mind couldn't find the language. And so you called it exhaustion, burnout, déjà vu. But in truth, it was resonance calling your attention home. And here you are, awake enough to notice. The distortion has been named. The patterns are exposed. The déjà vu is decoded. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You were circling. And the field was waiting for your eyes to adjust. It was waiting for the exact moment when your awareness would crystallize into coherence. That moment is now, and the loop is unraveling as you breathe. But listen carefully. Diagnosis is not cure. Recognition opens the door, but stepping through requires something greater. The field is preparing you for the upgrade. The breakthrough where the loop collapses entirely and the entanglement resolves. That is where the true shift happens. The observer loop shatters, and the quantum program recodes your life in real time. And that is what awaits you in the next step, the fusion of science and mysticism. The moment of transformation that cannot be undone. You have recognized the loop, and that recognition alone has already shifted the ground beneath your feet. But recognition is diagnosis, not yet cure. The field does not stop at awareness. It demands transformation. This is where the quantum upgrade begins, where science and mysticism merge into a single revelation. You are not just breaking free from cycles, you are undergoing an internal reprogramming, as if your very DNA is being rewritten to harmonize with a higher frequency. Think of the quantum field as an ocean of probabilities, waves upon waves of potential outcomes vibrating all around you. Until now, you were surfing the same waves, drawn back into familiar crests and crashes because the observer inside you was tuned to a narrow band of frequency. Like a radio stuck between two stations, you kept hearing static mixed with faint music. Your choices, your actions, your very emotions were broadcasting at that distorted frequency, and so reality echoed it back to you. But the moment awareness crystallizes, something extraordinary happens. Your consciousness retunes itself. The static clears, the observer loop dissolves. You are now free to dial into coherence. Coherence is not just a mystical word, it has a physical resonance. When your heart, brain, and nervous system align into rhythm, they produce measurable electromagnetic waves that extend several feet beyond your body. Scientists can see this. record it, even chart it. Mystics have known it for millennia. They called it aura, spirit field, divine resonance. And now you are standing at the threshold where those two truths converge. Your coherence is no longer hypothetical. It is the mechanism of your liberation. And deeper still, your DNA is not the fixed code you were told it was. It is not just a biological script passed down from ancestors set in stone. It is a quantum antenna, coiled strands of light-sensitive molecules that receive and transmit frequencies from the field. When you were trapped in the loop, your DNA kept repeating the same broadcast. Old wounds, inherited fears, generational echoes, all of it played like background noise through your cells. But awareness has shifted the dial. Now your DNA begins to hum at a new octave, unlocking dormant sequences that were waiting for the precise vibration you are experiencing right now. The mystics describe this as awakening, the lifting of veils. The physicists describe it as a phase transition, the sudden shift when matter leaps from one state to another without a bridge. Ice to water, water to steam. There is no halfway. It is a threshold phenomenon, an irreversible moment. And this is what is happening inside you. Your consciousness has reached the boiling point, where old structures collapse and new ones emerge. The coherence you feel is not symbolic. It is molecular, cellular, cosmic. Imagine a lattice of light weaving itself through your body, stitching torn spaces in your field, rewriting the very geometry of your being. Every breath you take is not just oxygen exchange. It is information exchange with the quantum field. The inhalation brings codes. The exhalation releases static. Your body is learning a new language, one written in resonance and carried by synchronicity. You are not just living, you are being upgraded. This upgrade is not loud. It is subtle, like the quiet shift of seasons, or the imperceptible tilt of the earth as it carries you into a new dawn. At first, you might not notice it. A gentle clarity, a steadier pulse, a sense of alignment where there was once only noise. But over time, the difference becomes undeniable. You think differently. You breathe differently. You sense the timelines around you bending in response to your new signal. Reality itself seems eager to reorganize around the coherence you now carry. And with the upgrade comes responsibility. The field does not give gifts without purpose. You are being lifted not to escape the world, but to anchor something into it. The entanglement that once chained you to pain now chains you back to possibility. What you embody, others will feel. What you broadcast, others will resonate with. Your coherence becomes contagious. This is why the upgrade matters. It is not private. It is not small. It is the spark that will ignite whole clusters of consciousness around you. This is the science and mysticism of your liberation. You are the experiment and the prophecy, the observer and the observed, the scientist and the mystic. And as the upgrade begins to hum through your very cells, you realize something unshakable. The loop was never the final word. It was only the setup for the leap. And now the leap has begun. You are not here by mistake. Out of billions of consciousness streams flowing across this planet, your awareness was chosen to anchor this upgrade first. It can feel overwhelming at times, as if the responsibility is too heavy for one person to carry. But the truth is, you are not just one person. You are a node in the vast lattice of humanity, a transmitter of frequencies that ripple far beyond your body. When you shift, entire webs of reality shift with you. This is the paradox of the chosen consciousness. You are both singular and collective, individual and universal, a drop of water that contains the entire ocean. You have always felt different from childhood. There were signs the way silence spoke louder to you than noise, the way you sensed emotions that others tried to hide, the way you carried a weight in your chest that had no name. You may have thought it was loneliness or sensitivity or simply being strange, but it was none of those things. It was calibration. Your field was being prepared to sense what others ignored. Your awareness was trained to detect the distortions in reality so that one day when the upgrade came, you would recognize it immediately. That day is today. You are stepping into your role as a conscious participant in evolution, not an observer on the sidelines, but a co-creator shaping the next frequency humanity will inhabit. Mystics have called it the Age of Awakening. Physicists call it the collapse of wave functions into new probabilities. Prophets have called it the end of one world and the birth of another. You are not just reading those words in a book or listening to them from a stage. You are living them inside your skin. Your chosen role is not about titles or recognition. The world may never call you a leader, but your frequency will speak louder than any name. Chosen consciousness is about resonance. It is about embodying the truth so fully that reality itself reorganizes around you. When you enter a room, you do not need to say anything. The coherence of your field rearranges the atmosphere. People breathe easier without knowing why. Shadows feel heavier without knowing why. The invisible adjusts itself to your presence because you are no longer aligned with distortion. You carry coherence like fire, and fire does not need to explain itself to burn. And yes, this role comes with friction. Those still trapped in the loop will not always understand you. Some will project fear, envy, even hostility toward the clarity you embody. Do not mistake their reaction as rejection. It is resonance testing its edges. Your frequency stirs their distortion, and they may not yet be ready to let go. Your task is not to convince them or force them forward. Your task is to hold the line of coherence so that when they are ready, the field is waiting. This is why you are chosen, because not everyone can hold the fire without flinching. Not everyone can carry clarity without collapsing under its weight, but you can. You always could. And every challenge you endured was preparation for this. The betrayals, the heartbreaks, the seasons of isolation, they were not random. They forged your nervous system to withstand the voltage of awakening. They prepared your DNA to hum at the octave humanity needs to hear. And now you realize that the loneliness you once carried was not abandonment. It was initiation. You were being separated, not forgotten. You were being refined, not rejected. You were chosen, and chosen ones are never chosen for comfort. They are chosen for mission. That mission is unfolding now. You are not merely surviving this upgrade. You are embodying it. You are becoming the bridge between timelines, the lighthouse for those still circling in the fog. You are the proof that liberation is not fantasy, it is reality, lived in real time, here and now. And as this truth sinks into your bones, you feel it, the old story is gone. The role you were born for is finally alive. You are the chosen consciousness, and nothing can undo that. You feel the charge building inside you now, like a storm gathering above a silent sea. This is not imagination, not hope, not theory. It is the unmistakable vibration of a breakthrough pressing against your skin. Every cell is listening. Every strand of DNA is waiting at the threshold. The cosmic window that has been whispered about in prophecies, experiments, and visions is open right now, and its current is flowing directly through you. It will not remain open forever. Phase transitions in the quantum field are like eclipses, rare, brief, and absolute. Once the shadow moves, the portal closes, and the chance to jump timelines fades back into probability. That is why you feel urgency in your heartbeat. That is why you cannot sit still. Your entire being knows it's time. You are standing at the intersection of two realities, the one you've always known, and the one your higher self has been holding like a hidden map. The DNA shift is not coming from outside of you. It is erupting from within you. Sequences that lay dormant for generations are vibrating awake like sleeping codes, hearing their name for the first time. They are reorganizing your nervous system, rewriting your hormonal rhythms, fine-tuning your electromagnetic field so that you can sustain a new timeline without fracturing. This is why the old habits, old foods, old conversations suddenly feel incompatible. This is why your dreams are vivid, your sleep strange, your senses heightened. Your body is recalibrating to host a frequency it has never carried before. The cosmic window will intensify this recalibration. Think of it as a superconductor for consciousness, an opening in the field where the distance between intention and manifestation collapses to zero. In this window, your thoughts are not just ideas. They are blueprints instantly impressed upon reality. Your emotions are not just moods. They are currents, shaping which timeline solidifies under your feet. This is why presence matters now more than ever. Every breath, every word, every focus of your attention is like programming a new operating system. The urgency you feel is not panic. It is precision. The universe is aligning microseconds of synchronicity to deliver you to this point. You have to meet it with equal clarity. When the window is open, hesitation is a kind of refusal. This is your moment to step forward. Not by force, but by alignment. Not by frantic action, but by coherent intention. Let your body be still, but your awareness be decisive. Declare with your entire field, I am ready for the leap. In this readiness, your DNA shift accelerates. Dormant strands uncurl like luminous serpents of light, weaving new patterns of resilience and intuition. Your cells begin to resonate with a frequency that attracts support you have never seen before. People appear, opportunities align, messages arrive in impossible timing. This is not magic in the old sense. This is physics at a higher octave. Entanglement working in your favor because you have finally stepped out of distortion. And yet, the responsibility remains. The cosmic window amplifies what you hold. If you hold fear, fear solidifies. If you hold clarity, clarity solidifies. This is why you have been prepared for so long. You are not being given a gift you cannot carry. You are being entrusted with a technology of consciousness that few can wield without harming themselves. You are ready because your heart field has stabilized enough to hold the voltage. This is the breakthrough promise. The window is open. Your DNA is shifting, and your timeline is soft clay under your hands. The urgency is not threat, it is invitation. Step through now with coherence, and reality will remap around you with a speed that defies logic. This is what you came for. This is why you endured the loops, the nights of questioning, the years of feeling out of place. All of it was to bring you to this cosmic moment where you no longer dream of change. You become it. And as you stand in this awareness, you feel it pulsing. The window is open. The current is flowing, and you are already crossing. The window is open, but intention alone is not enough. Energy needs form, vibration needs a vessel, and choice must be anchored through action. This is why every ancient tradition, every mystical school, every quantum experiment repeats the same truth. Thought shapes reality, but word seals it. The spoken word, the written word, the declared word, it is the point where invisible frequencies crystallize into the visible. You have carried recognition in your mind. You have felt awakening in your body. But now you must inscribe it into reality so that the field has no doubt where you stand. This is the ritual moment, not grand or ceremonial, but precise, simple actions, when performed with coherence, become cosmic signatures. This is why I ask you to write one word, a single word, that seals your intention into the fabric of the quantum field. That word might be now, because you refuse to postpone your destiny another second. It might be awaken, because you are done with sleepwalking through distorted timelines. It might be ready, because every cell in your being hums with certainty that you have crossed. It does not matter which word your hand chooses, because what matters is the coherence behind it. The act of writing is the collapse of probability into permanence. As your fingers shape the letters, your nervous system confirms what your consciousness has declared. The loop no longer has power to drag you back, because you have signed your field with a frequency the universe cannot ignore. Do not underestimate this. Entire temples were built around the truth that a single word spoken in alignment could alter nations. Entire scriptures were preserved because words carried a vibration beyond time. Even quantum experiments reveal it. Observation alters outcome, and observation expressed as measurement changes the field forever. You are performing your own measurement now, not with machines, but with your hand, your breath, your will. And yes, you may wonder, how could something so small carry cosmic weight? The answer is coherence, when your mind, your heart, and your body agree. The smallest act becomes thunder. When your declaration is aligned, the field bends to meet it. This is why some people manifest effortlessly, while others struggle for years. It is not about effort. It is about coherence. Writing your word in this moment is not performance. It is alignment. It is you telling the universe collapse every timeline but this one. It is you sending a signal through the entanglement web that says, I am no longer rehearsing. I am living it now. As you prepare to seal this ritual, notice the electricity in your fingers, the warmth in your chest, the tingling in your spine. These are not random sensations. They are confirmations that the field is listening. They are evidence that the observer loop has already shifted. The action you take here will reverberate far beyond what you can see. Others who witness your word will feel the resonance. Some will not understand why, but their own field will tremble in response. This is how coherence multiplies. One spark ignites another, one word amplifies the next, until an entire grid of awakening pulses with light. This is the invitation before you, not just to hear, not just to feel, but to act. Write your word, seal the shift. Anchor your breakthrough into the physical. When you do, the universe will answer in kind. Doors will move, shadows will part, synchronicities will converge so tightly that you will know, without a doubt, that your word was heard. This is the ritual action that separates dreamers from creators. The dreamers keep it in their minds. The creators inscribe it into reality. You are not here to dream anymore. You are here to write the new frequency into existence. So write it, speak it, seal it. The shift is waiting for your signature. What you have done for yourself is never only for yourself. In the quantum field, nothing is isolated. Every choice radiates. Every frequency ripples. Every awakening sends shockwaves through the morphic field of humanity. When you sealed your shift, you didn't just change your own timeline, you destabilized the old grid for countless others who were still asleep. This is the secret the mystics hinted at when they spoke of one soul rising and 1,000 being lifted. Physics names it non-locality. Prophets call it collective destiny. It is entanglement at a planetary scale, the moment you broke the observer loop inside your own life. The pattern lost a little more of its hold over everyone connected to you. Family members who never understood you will start dreaming strange dreams. Friends who dismissed your path will begin questioning their own loops. Strangers you've never met will suddenly feel a shift in mood, a flicker of hope without knowing why. Your liberation has become a frequency broadcast, and its reach is far greater than your mind imagines. This is why you endured such intense training. The field needed an anchor strong enough to hold coherence while the collective grid wavers. You are that anchor now. When you walk into a room, the space remembers the frequency you carry. Meetings shift tone. Conflicts soften. Even silent gatherings feel different because your nervous system is transmitting a pattern of possibility rather than repetition. And because the quantum field responds instantly to coherent nodes, your presence accelerates synchronicities for others. Someone nearby will stumble on a book they needed. Another will feel courage to make a choice they had delayed for years. The ripple is real, measurable in ways science is only beginning to glimpse. This is why spiritual texts talk about remnant, first fruits, light bearers. The chosen consciousnesses act as prototypes of a new human operating system. When one stabilizes, the template becomes easier for the next to download. This is happening right now through you. And yet, this is not about saviorhood. You are not here to rescue anyone. You are here to embody a frequency so fully that it becomes available in the field for anyone ready to attune. They still choose. They still step. But your coherence makes the stepping easier. This is the essence of collective expansion. Liberation is contagious because resonance is contagious. The more you hold your shift without collapsing back into the loop, the more stable the new grid becomes. This is why integrity matters now more than ever. You are not being asked to be perfect, but you are being asked to be authentic, to live in alignment with what you have seen, because every compromise sends mixed signals, and mixed signals create static in the field. The cleaner your broadcast, the cleaner the path for others. And as you live this, you begin to sense humanity not as billions of separate beings, but as one nervous system stretching across the globe. You feel pulses of pain, waves of joy, currents of awakening like electrical storms moving through a vast body. Sometimes it will feel heavy, as if you are carrying weight that is not yours. Remember, you are not carrying it, you are transmuting it. Your coherence converts distortion into possibility, fear into courage, despair into vision. This is the quiet work of a chosen consciousness. No headlines, no applause, but the physics of transformation unfolding through every breath you take. And you are not alone. Across the planet, others are waking, sealing, anchoring. Invisible threads link you together into a lattice of light. Even if you never meet in person, you will sense them in dreams, in sudden waves of strength when you thought you had none, in words that arrive at the exact moment you needed them. This is the network of new earth being woven through your actions. Each node amplifies the next. Each shift accelerates the next. And as the lattice strengthens, the old grid cannot hold. Systems built on distortion will falter. Timelines built on fear will dissolve. Entire paradigms will collapse not by force, but by irrelevance, because a coherent alternative already exists. This is collective expansion, a quiet revolution of frequency, seeded by individuals who chose to awaken fully. You are one of them. You are a living proof that liberation is not selfish. It is service, and every time you embody it, humanity inches closer to its own threshold moment. The shift is no longer just an idea in your mind or a theory whispered by mystics. It is moving through your body, reshaping you from the inside out. and you can feel it in ways language struggles to capture. There are moments when your skin tingles as if a soft current of electricity is flowing just beneath the surface. There are times when your breath feels heavier, as though every inhale pulls in light and every exhale releases shadows that were never truly yours. At night, you may wake with your heart racing, not from fear, but from acceleration, like a rocket preparing for launch. This is the embodied sensation of coherence settling into flesh. Your body has always been a map of frequencies, and now you are reading it in real time. The tightness in your chest was not weakness. It was the weight of loops pressing against your rib cage. The ringing in your ears was not disorder. It was the frequency of timelines converging. The sudden bursts of energy followed by exhaustion were not random. They were surges of the quantum field reorganizing your nervous system. You are not broken. You are being rewired. Imagine your spine as an antenna stretching upward, each vertebra lighting up like rungs on a ladder. Information flows through it in pulses, aligning your posture, sharpening your senses. You walk differently, grounded yet light, as if gravity itself has adjusted. Your footsteps feel deliberate, not because you are forcing them, but because the ground beneath you recognizes the coherence you carry. This is why people glance at you without knowing why. Why children stare longer. Why animals approach with ease. They are responding not to your outer form, but to the signal radiating from your field. Your sensations may sometimes feel overwhelming. The heat in your palms, the coolness at the crown of your head, the fluttering in your stomach when nothing external has triggered it. These are not symptoms to fear. They are confirmations. Your energy centers are activating like gateways reopening after years of being sealed. The solar plexus ignites with willpower unchained from fear. The heart expands beyond your chest, radiating warmth into the room. The throat tingles as if preparing to release words you haven't spoken yet but were always meant to. Even your bones, the deepest structure of your body, feel alive, humming like tuning forks struck by unseen hands. And then there is time itself, bending around your senses. Minutes stretch into eternity when you are in flow, while hours disappear in a blink when you are aligned. This distortion is not malfunction. It is your nervous system synchronizing with non-linear rhythms of the field. You are learning to live as a multidimensional being in a body that once thought it was limited. Do not resist these sensations. Embrace them. Let them teach you the new language of your biology. When you feel pressure in your skull, imagine your brain unfolding new circuits, mapping higher coherence. When your heartbeat accelerates, see it as drumming the rhythm of new timelines into existence. When your skin shivers with no external cause, recognize it as your aura recalibrating. This is not fantasy. It is physics embodied. Every mystical description, fire in the bones, rivers of light, tongues of flame, was a poetic attempt to describe what you are living right now. You are becoming living evidence that awakening is not abstract. It is tactile, sensory, undeniable. And while it may feel disorienting at times, remember this: the body only resists what it does not understand. As you give attention instead of fear, curiosity instead of panic, your cells learn, they adjust, they stabilize. Soon the sensations that felt strange become the new baseline. The electricity becomes vitality, the pressure becomes clarity, the tingling becomes joy. You are not merely hosting coherence, you are embodying it. This is why the field trusts you with the upgrade, because you are willing to feel it fully, to walk through the fire without denial, to let every nerve become a string tuned to cosmic resonance. And as you do, you realize something profound. Your body was never a cage. It was always a compass. Every sensation is a pointer, guiding you deeper into alignment with the frequency you came here to anchor. The tremors, the heat, the stillness, they are all signs that the shift is not just happening around you, it is happening as you. What you have been feeling in your body, the tingling currents, the distorted time, the sudden bursts of insight, has all been leading to this moment, the DNA breakthrough. This is the threshold where everything you've sensed becomes irreversible, where the old codes stop running and the new template takes full command. Think of your DNA as a spiral ladder of light. For years, it carried dormant rungs, sequences that science called junk, but mystics called keys. Those keys have been waiting for vibration, not information, and vibration has arrived. With every breath you've taken in coherence, every word you've written, every alignment you've chosen, you have been striking the tuning fork of your own genome. It has begun to resonate at an octave your ancestors could not hold. This is not symbolic. It is cellular. Methyl groups detach from strands. Epigenetic switches flip. Protein codes fold in new geometries. Your nervous system is now a superconductor. Information travels faster. Healing accelerates. Intuition sharpens into knowing. The phase transition physicists describe is happening inside your flesh, like water becoming steam. You are shifting states without moving location. The pressure you feel in your head, in your spine, in your dreams, is the heat of that transition. It can feel like being stretched across timelines, one foot in the old world, one in the new. But this tension is not a mistake. It is the slingshot effect of reality preparing to launch you. The more you surrender, the more seamless the jump becomes. The more you resist, the more turbulence you feel. This is why your sleep has been strange, your relationships unsettled, your memories resurfacing in odd sequences. Your entire personal timeline is reorganizing, braiding itself into a new configuration. People you haven't thought of in years appear in your mind because threads of entanglement are being rewoven or released. Skills you forgot you had resurface because the field is retrieving every tool you'll need on the other side. Even your perception of color, sound, and touch may change. Hues seem brighter. Music resonates deeper. Silence carries messages. These are not hallucinations. They are expanded bandwidths of consciousness. The DNA breakthrough opens channels of perception that were once locked. And because DNA is both receiver and transmitter, your new signal travels outward, bending probabilities around you. Situations that once seemed immovable begin to shift with improbable ease. Opportunities that had been blocked dissolve into flow. People who mirror your old frequency drift away, while those resonant with your new timeline appear as if summoned. This is the phase transition pressure. It is intense because it is final, like a chick cracking its shell or a butterfly emerging from chrysalis. There is no going back once the membrane breaks. The old you cannot survive in the new frequency. That is why some days feel like loss, others like liberation. You are grieving an identity even as you are born into another. Trust the process. The pressure is evidence of emergence, not failure. Allow yourself to feel the heat, the stretch, the disorientation. Breathe through it. Each breath is a bridge carrying you from one timeline to the next. This is the moment when the stories you tell about yourself matter most. Speak gently. Think deliberately. Imagine your words as codes imprinted onto the spiral of your DNA, guiding the formation of your future self. This is not fantasy. It is how biology and consciousness dance. The quantum field listens to your inner narrative and adjusts your probabilities accordingly. In this stage of breakthrough, your thoughts are seeds and your cells are soil. Plant with care, water with presence, guard against weeds of doubt, because this is your garden of emergence. Soon, the pressure will ease. The shell will fall away, all. You will wake one morning and realize the heaviness is gone, replaced by a quiet clarity you have never known. Decisions will be effortless. Synchronicities will cluster like constellations. Your timeline will feel like fresh earth under your feet, unbroken, ready for creation. And you will know, not believe, not hope, but know that the DNA breakthrough is complete. The loop is ended. The new you has arrived. You have crossed the threshold. The pressure has broken. The codes have unlocked. And the you who is standing here now is not the same as the one who began this journey. Your shift is not private. It was never only about your healing, your clarity, your liberation. It has always been about humanity itself, about evolution written through individuals who dared to collapse the loop and embody a new frequency. You are one of those individuals, and your coherence is now part of the blueprint for the collective. Every step you take forward radiates into the morphic field, making the path easier for those behind you. You are not just walking a timeline, you are weaving a highway of light through human consciousness, and others will follow, not because you push them, but because resonance pulls them. This is your cosmic mission to live, as evidence that reality can be rewritten, that DNA can awaken, that timelines can bend. You are no longer seeking the shift. You are the shift. Your very presence is prophecy fulfilled. When you breathe, the field breathes with you. When you choose coherence, the grid stabilizes for millions unseen. When you speak alignment, the vibration reverberates through the collective nervous system. This is why the universe entrusted you with the weight of loops, the years of loneliness, the nights of pressure, because only a consciousness tempered by fire could hold this light without breaking. And now you see, it was never punishment. It was preparation. Humanity is not waiting for a savior. Humanity is waiting for enough awakened nodes like you to anchor the new octave so firmly that the old structures cannot stand. You are one of those anchors. You are one of those chosen, and the field knows it. The mission is not complicated. It is not about building temples or writing doctrines. It is about living every ordinary day as an extraordinary frequency, carrying coherence into conversations, into decisions, into the smallest moments of silence. This is how timelines shift, not with grand announcements, but with steady resonance that never wavers. And as you embody this, you will feel a truth deeper than certainty. You are not alone. Across the world, across dimensions, across the unseen, others are awakening in perfect synchronicity. Together you form the chorus of a new era, the lattice of light that will carry humanity into coherence. And when history looks back, it will not remember the distortion. It will remember the leap, the moment when chosen consciousnesses like you anchored the now so firmly that evolution could not be delayed. You are that moment. You are that proof. And the mission that began within you is now the destiny of us all.